I have held my tongue on Boko Haram for about a week since this broke, as I cogitated on it, and as I did research. And there are thousands of points that go into this, literally thousands of points. So I tend to get caught up trying to give you all my data points of why I'm telling you something before I ever get to what I'm going to say. But let me just say this. We know Boko Haram is working for Western intelligence agencies as a central Western or Western central destabilization force, just like they had PSYOPs to overthrow the Ukrainian government that were State Department funded on record. They would say in the videos, I'm grassroots, I'm filming this myself, no one told me to do it. And then it would end up, it was an actress funded publicly by the State Department. That's how dumb they think you are. So I knew Boko Haram, or Boko Haram, was a double, triple agent operation because the majority are Christian and animist. If you add those two groups together in Nigeria, Africa's most populous country, like 300 million people or something now, almost. I mean, this is incredible. And that they're being used as a pretext to basically militarize the central government that, again, is Christian/animist or earth worship group, and that they're playing that group off against them so that Nigeria will take Western aid and more IMF World Bank funding, and so they can be controlled by the globalists. It's just like they've brought AFRICON the last few years into Africa. They took out Libya, put al-Qaeda in. The federal government admitted last week that, oh my gosh, it was a total screw-up taking out Gaddafi. It's horrible there now. No colleges. The women are having burqas put on their heads. And al-Qaeda is using it to launch attacks all over Africa. It was a perfect military base for clandestine al-Qaeda operations in Libya. That was the plan. Now the U.S. military and the French military in Ivory Coast and North Africa, everywhere else, can come in and invade, and they just say on the news it's to fight al-Qaeda, but even the president of the Ivory Coast earlier this year said, no, it is white mercenaries taking over the oil rigs, and then NATO shows up with France to kick them out and takes the nation's oil rigs. And the presidential palace blows up. You know, it was in a couple of those. Ivory Coast is one country. There's a couple others. So Sierra Leone, you name it. I mean, it's so much of this is going on, I can't even keep track of it. And I know the countries and the players in Guyana and all the rest of it. I mean, it's just full-out war in Africa. And the governments even get it. These are pro-Western governments that are being double-crossed, by the way. These are Christians and tribalist, animist, you name it. They're not even Muslims. And they're in the news. You can pull it up, you know, saying this is staged. They run the radical Muslims. So I wanted to go over some of this to explain what's happening. But basically, it's just a smokescreen. Yeah, there's the Global Research headline. CIA covert ops in Nigeria, fertile ground for U.S.-sponsored balkanization. And that's an article from, I guess, 2 days ago. They are for destabilization, balkanization, crises, so the UN, NATO, and the globalists in AFRICON can come in then with Marshall plans for Europe, Marshall plans for Africa, Marshall plans for Pakistan. I mean, why did the U.S. government fly 44,000 Taliban al-Qaeda leaders and top military and al-Qaeda in the airlift of evil 2 months after the war started in 2001? Why did they fly them out in November? Started in September. Why did they fly them out and give them weapons and gold? Well, it's untraceable gold to buy more weapons to then attack and destabilize and infiltrate the government of Pakistan. But just here's one example today on this from Breitbart. Hillary Clinton protested designation of Boko Haram as terrorist group. While Secretary of State Hillary Clinton fought hard against officially designating the Islamicists of Boko Haram as a terror group, placing her in the camp of far leftist group MoveOn.org. They're not far left, folks. George Soros was a Nazi collaborator. He funds MoveOn. They have to cover every area of the chessboard. They have to be the liberal opposition, so no real opposition to war forms. It's like The Thing, the 1980s John Carpenter film. It plans to take over the whole world, ladies and gentlemen, and it will play the part of every group. That's why it keeps winning. Hillary Clinton is an ultra wicked, anti-human garbage, a psychopathic demon, a full-spectrum dominance worm. But right here, why do you think you saw Michelle Obama last week sickeningly saying bring back her girls with a look? It gives them moral high ground. Look, we're fighting radical Islam. Look, we care about women's rights. Meanwhile, the group is globalist run. And they're going to use it to invade all of Africa to, quote, hunt down anybody they want, bypassing radical Muslims and going right at the Christians they kill all over Africa. Just like the UN did in '94 in Rwanda. That wasn't a UN screw up. I mean, and everybody goes, look at Michelle. She's so upset. This is sick. Boko Haram in the north is being given globalist aid to break that country in two and destabilize all of Western Africa.